Welcome to the first ever edition of the Wrestling Bell Ringers podcast. I am your host. Let me fix my lighting. I am your host, Zach Labella, and this is a podcast made by a wrestling fan for wrestling fans. And on today's episode, we will be reviewing this past episode of NWA Power, AEW Dynamite. Um, we will be recapping Hell in a Cell predictions that I made on my friend's podcast over at the CNE podcast. The link will be down below, and we will also be doing what will be a recurring segment. We will be fantasy booking each week. We will be looking at storylines from the past, the present, possibly future storylines that we predict. And we will also be uh, fantasy booking certain wrestlers as well. Uh, each week will be something different. Um, so let's not waste any more time, and let's just jump right into it. So on NWA Power on Fight TV, if you aren't already subscribed to Power, I highly recommend you do so. Great quality wrestling and promos as well. So, firstly on Power, we had a triple threat match between Melina, long time veteran, the debuting Kenzie Page, and a student of Thunder Rosa, Genocide. This was a very good match. Melina is so good. She's I believe she's been wrestling for over 15 years. She showed great veteran instinct in this match, rolling up Kenzie Page while Genocide was out of the ring for the 1, 2, 3. Great match and great way to build Melina up as a real threat to the NWA World's Women's Champion, Camille Brickhouse of Strictly Business. And then we had a Trevor Murdoch segment. Trevor, I was not pulling for him at all. When our shadows fall, their last pay per view, it was Trevor versus in my opinion, the best pure wrestler in the world. All this for the prestigious 10 pounds of gold. phenomenal match. Phenomenal match. The crowd was really pulling for Trevor. Once it was going his way, Latimer got involved, brought in a chair, and while the senior official was dealing with Latimer, Aldis hit him with a chair. Classic heel move. Aldis is by far one of the greatest heels in the business right now. He hit the ref out of the ring. Trevor takes the chair from Aldis and beats his ass with the very same chair. When the referee comes to, all he sees is Aldis laid out, Trevor standing over him, the chair in hand. Referee rules the match as a win for Aldis and a DQ win. So a successful defense. I feel like that ending was just perfect. It establishes Aldis as an unbeatable heel champion, and it gets the crowd further behind Trevor Murdoch, which now I am as well. I would not be mad if Trevor won at the upcoming pay-per-view and WA 73. And then after that, I believe there was another segment. Camille addressed Melina's issues, and she claims that Tom Latimer will win the vacant NWA national title tournament. And as the avid viewers know, the match for Tom is Tom, obviously, versus Chris Adonis versus Pero. The winner of that match will face JTG, which we will cover here shortly. And then I believe there was one more segment, and it was with this mysterious new signing being interviewed by the talented May Valentine. This mysterious signing, this masked man, he could be pretty good. I have no clue who he is, but he already has issues with my favorite in the NWA right now, Slice Boogie and Marche Rocket. Slice Boogie, in a year's time, mark my words, will be NWA World Champion. Mark my words. Excuse me. And then we jump to an exhibition match that ended in a no contest. Aaron Stevens versus PJ Hawks. This match was very catch wrestling, very technical. Stevens, ever since the passing of Joseph Hudson, has been phenomenal. He's really coming into his own, and his skill level has grown immensely. This match, as I said earlier, ended in a no contest. The team of La Rebellion from, I believe, AAA, Mecha Wolf, and Bestia 666 interfered, beating up both men. The match itself was very, very good. It's as catch as you're gonna get, at least in the States. Um, it sets up for La Rebellion versus Stevens and Kratos for the prestigious NWA tag team titles. Great, great match, and I'm so down for this title match in the near future. And then we have a segment between Pero, Ladimer, and Adonis. It was just to build hype for their qualifying match. Great segment. I'm pulling for Ladimer in this match. I feel like, well, I don't believe he has the most experience. He has the most skill going in. And then in the main event of Power, it was Fred Rosser, formerly known as Darren Young, in the prime time players, versus El Rudo versus Jay the God, aka ATG, partner and best friend of the late great Chad Gaspard in prime time. ATG went over. Honestly, El Rudo, I can't buy into him at all. I can't. His pants have more character than he does. He's just not saying he's horrible, but he's just not over well enough to be a believable contender for any title. JTG, as I said, went over. Other than El Rudo's springboard double blockbuster, JTG and Rosser absolutely killed it again. I had a feeling Rosser wasn't gonna win because he signed exclusively with New Japan. I believe it was last week. JTG will either face Pero, Latimer, or Chris Adonis, aka Chris Masters, for the NWA National title. And that was it for Power. Power, to me, is by far one of the best wrestling shows of the week. It's the main one that I look forward to every week. Um, I I'll give this show a solid 8. It felt very triple threat heavy. Um, other than that, the segments and promos, as always, were phenomenal. The matches were insane. Power is great. If you haven't watched it already, give it a try. It's only $5 a month on Fight, and it is well worth it. They're studio wrestling with fans in attendance. Fans in attendance. Having fans there again, such an amazing feeling. I could praise Power all day, but alas, we must move on. And now we are at AEW Friday Night Dynamite. Very solid show. Very solid show. It opened right away. Excuse me. It opened right away with the MMA cage cage fight. Sorry, with Wardlow of the Pinnacle versus Jake Hager of the Inner Circle. I'm loving this faction feud. Now, I know people hate how many factions are in Dynamite, but it creates for amazing matches. It truly does. And I agree, there's a lot in there, but the feuds and the matches have been amazing. The trios title that's rumored to be coming soon would very much so help out their faction feuds with a prize to fight for. But this faction warfare has been amazing. I loved the Blood and Guts match. I didn't watch all of the Stadium Stampede, but I do know that the Inner Circle won. So that now means in faction matches, they're one apiece. They need a faction match, rubber match. But for now, we're getting one-on-one matches with each faction, which is fine. Jake Hager beats Wardlow with the what should I call it? The arm trapped triangle choke. I thought Wardlow was gonna do it. I thought he was gonna beat his ass, but Hager is now 3-0 in MMA matches. If they're counting this, I think they should. But he's now 3-0 in MMA, and he seemed to have an overwhelming fan response. So now we move on to Darby Allin versus the Men of the Year, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. Let me make one thing clear. I love this tag team, but it's an unnecessary tag team. Ethan Page has been around for, I believe they said, 18 years. Still, not many people know him. Which is a damn shame. He's pretty damn good. Him and Josh Alexander, I believe, are the longest reigning Impact Tag Team Champions. And speaking of Impact, today is the 19th anniversary of the first Impact show. I'm sorry, TNA show. So congratulations to them on almost 20 years. Moving on. Scorpio Sky went from he won the Face of the Revolution ladder match. He turned heel after losing the TNT title match versus then champion Darby Allin. Why put somebody as good as Scorpio Sky right back in a tag team when he's proven he's above being in a tag team? Scorpio Sky needs to somehow drop Page without turning face. Because I love heel Scorpio a lot. Darby Allin, the longest reigning TNT champion, a record 8 defenses. Darby Allin pulled Sting, who is 63 years old and is wrestling full time. Goldberg is in his 50s and he's part time. Sting is 63, wrestling full time. Anyway, Darby Allin told him to stay home. He can handle them 2-on-1. It looked like he could have. Darby Allin proved size in wrestling does not matter. Darby almost had them beat. He almost did. But the 2-on-1 advantage, as you would think, played into effect. And I could be wrong. I believe Scorpio Sky pinned Darby Allin. Amazing match. It truly was. That was one of the greatest handicap matches I've ever seen. Not even joking. And then after that, I believe was the Andrade El Idolo sit down with Jim Ross. Andrade, when he has his first match with them, is going to make an impact. He was completely wasted in WWE, but not in NXT. Triple H knew what he was doing with him. Vince had no idea. Anyway, Andrade has the tools to be one of the greatest of all time. He needs to win a few more titles, and he he he's up there. Now, I don't know how long he's been actually wrestling, but he's pretty damn good. And his promos, despite the language barrier, are incredible. I truly believe if anybody can beat Kenny for the AEW title, it's him. And they made him debut all wrong. And here's why. The Casino Battle Royale. Wouldn't that have been a much better time to bring him in as the wild card? Because I don't know when, but soon is Triple Mania. It's Kenny versus Andrade for the AAA Mega title. I would have had Andrade go in during that battle royale, win the whole damn thing. That very same night that he wins it, cuts a promo calling Kenny out, saying if you're so great winning all these titles at Triple Mania, put the AEW title on the line as well. This sets up for a cross promotional build between AAA and AEW. Makes perfect sense. Don't know why they waited till Dynamite to bring him in. I feel like Double or Nothing would have been a much better time. But nonetheless, I'm glad he's here. He's a huge signing and a huge name. He just needs to back up what he's been saying about himself. And then after that was Cody Rhodes and Arn Anderson's son, Brock Anderson, versus QT Marshall and Aaron Hollow. Amazing match. Brock is not as good as his father, but he's pretty damn good. Cody Rhodes did a great job at getting Brock over, and Brock got the pinfall. So he won the match for him and Cody. Made Brock a bigger threat to the factory led by QT Marshall. Cody and Brock, I kind of want them to remain a team because Cody Rhodes can't go for the world title anymore, losing to Jericho. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Full Gear of 2019. I kind of want Cody Rhodes and Brock to be AEW Tag Team Champions. That's not the worst idea in the world, and it gives Cody Rhodes something else to do. And then after that was Orange Cassidy versus Cesar Bononi. Ever since Revolution 2019 and his match against Pac, before that, Orange was said to be someone that was killing the wrestling business because his kicks weren't real, his punches weren't legit, and that's his character. He was just laid back, which to me did not kill the wrestling business because his character is unique. It's never been done before. He minded his own business. He made a huge name for himself, just being himself. Fast forward to Revolution versus Pac. Orange displayed same laid back antics, and then he tried, and he's been pretty good. He's a legit wrestler. He has 2 victories over Chris Jericho, which not many people can say that. So Orange went over. He won. Not much really to say about this match. Orange, he needs to win a title. I believe he's ready. He's proven to be a worthy fighter. And I think putting a title on him would make him a much better wrestler and more of a household name. And then after that was Julia Hart with the Varsity Blondes versus Penelope Ford. board is amazing. The women's division of AEW made a complete 180. All last year, it was said how shit it is, how Kenny can't run the division well enough, and now look, Britt Baker went from she was the first woman to sign there, and sadly, she was not the first women's champion. That was Riho. But once Hikaru Shida won the title, the division had a wake up call. It made a complete 180. It's now one of the greatest divisions in the world, and that's just my opinion. Britt won the title at that double or nothing, ending the year-long reign of Hikaru Shida. Britt is the right person to lead the division into where they wanted it to be since they won. But I'm getting off topic now. Penelope Ford went over Julia Hart. Ford then she hit some pretty amazing moves. She's better than I remember her being. Afterwards, Miro came out the TNT champion and called out the Varsity Blondes. I believe it's next week on Saturday. It's Miro versus Brian Pillman Jr. for the TNT title. Speaking of Dynamite coming up, the first episode back on Wednesday, July 30th, June 30th. The main event is MJF versus Sammy Guevara. The match writes itself. That is an amazing match. It going back on my earlier point with the faction feuds. It's a great way to further the feud. And then after that announcement was the main event, which was Eddie Kingston versus Penta. I'm sorry, I read this way wrong. Eddie Kingston and Penta and Frankie Kazarian versus Matt Jackson and the Good Brothers. Now, I won't lie, I fell asleep during this match. Not because it was bad at all, because from what I did see, it was pretty good. But this was also at 11:45 p.m. So I passed out. The Elite got the win. Not really much to say about this match. But it was very, very good. And speaking of the elite, I want to touch up on Kenny's reign, and I'm probably gonna get some flack for this, but to be honest, I don't care. Kenny Omega's reign as AEW and Impact champion is not helping him at all. It's only helping Impact. Because you see Kenny walking around with the Impact title on AEW TV. It's getting more eyes on Impact. More eyes on Impact. Kenny being advertised for Impact is getting more eyes on Impact. Kenny has not done squat with the AEW title, and it's a damn shame because Kenny is a world-class athlete. He is huge in Japan. AEW is really his first crack at the States in terms of wrestling. Kenny has been champion since December of last year. He won at the Winter is Coming special episode of Dynamite versus Moxley. Ever since he won the belt, he hasn't really done much with it. He's treating his own brand's company as a prop. I think. He that's really it. He's making the Impact title mean more than the AEW title. He needs to defend it more, like Mox did, like Jericho did as a heel. He defended it quite a lot. Kenny has had the worst reign as champ, in my opinion. Not saying he's horrible because he's not. He's not. But the reign is not helping him at all. It's helping Impact, not AEW at all. That's about it for AEW. Pretty good show. I'd give it an 8. If it wasn't on so late, I think they could have had more development in their stories and had better fan interaction. All right. Moving on to this Sunday, June 20th. Hell in a Cell. I did my predictions over on the CNE podcast. So I will just recap what I said. Bobby Lashley will retain over Drew McIntyre. Don't see Bobby losing it anytime soon. Roman Reigns versus Ray for the Universal title was moved to last night, June 18th, on SmackDown. Roman Reigns won, as I predicted he would. Roman Reigns is now 4 wins, 0 losses, and 1 draw inside the cell. I predict Rhea retains over Charlotte Flair. Bianca will retain over Bayley. This match is now inside Hell in a Cell, and the match I don't think anyone really cares about. Alexa Bliss will beat Shayna Baszler unless it somehow Shayna channels her NXT days, because she was really good in it in NXT. And as of June 18th, added onto the card is Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. That match is guaranteed to slap. Kevin Owens will win. I think it's gonna be as good as their 2016 Battleground match. And then also add that on, as we guessed it would, over on the CNE podcast, Cesaro versus Rollins. Rollins at this point in his career needs to focus on putting talent over. Cesaro will once again beat Rollins. And that is it for my predictions. Now, moving on to the nitty gritty, the fantasy booking segment of the Bell Ringers Wrestling Podcast. I today am going to be fantasy booking the WCW debut of Bret Hart. November 9th, 1997. Survivor Series. It was Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. Bret walked in as champion, did not want to put over Shawn Michaels. But Vince had other plans. Bret did not want to put over Shawn because Shawn said he would never put over Bret Hart. But Bret told Shawn he is more than happy to put him over. Well, once Shawn Michaels told him he would not do the same, Bret did not want to put him over. Shawn locks in Bret Hart's own move, the sharpshooter, did not tap out. but Vince McMahon called for the bell. This event would be forever called the Montreal Screw Job. After the match, Bret Hart spat in the face of Vince McMahon and in the air wrote out WCW. Bret went to the back. Vince walked up to him. They talked, and Bret punched him in the mouth, knocked him out. Bret left. Shawn, for whatever reason, was crying when Bret fully believes Shawn was fully involved in the screw job. Fast forward to December 15th, 1997. WCW Nitro, a special 3-hour episode. Bret Hart debuts. The champs at the time, and I'm only saying this to develop my own storyline for Bret. The world champ was Hollywood Hulk Hogan. The US was Kurt Hennig. Tag team was the Steiner Brothers. Now, Bret Hart debuted as a guest referee. Bret Hart debuted as a guest referee. Why the hell would you book the best there ever will be as a guest referee in his first night on Nitro? Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't. Not at all. Bret left WWF because he was not given the respect that he was deserved. He then goes to Nitro, debuts as a guest referee. Now, here's what I would have done. Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, United States champion at that time, should have called out a promo and said, like, I've proven to be the best there ever will be in this company. Nobody in that locker room can touch me. I'm perfect. I'm the United States heavyweight wrestling champion. And then the crowd would have booed. Once the crowd silenced, you should have hit Bret Hart's music. Bret Hart walked down, challenges Kurt Hennig. and says you were the best, but now I am here. That same night, have Kurt Hennig defend the United States title against Bret Hart. Now, you're probably thinking, why on earth would Bret Hart go from world champ in WWF to the mid card of Nitro? Fair question. Bret Hart versus Hulk Hogan would not be a good match. Bret would have had to do a lot of heavy lifting to carry Hulk Hogan. Kurt Hennig is the perfect first opponent for Bret Hart on Nitro. Bret would have brought that United States title to the same level as the World Heavyweight title. Scratch that. He would have brought it up because Bret Hart is the best technical wrestler there's ever been. Hulk Hogan is just there because of his name. Hulk Hogan was not a good wrestler. Bret Hart was the best there was at that time. Bret Hart, being the U.S. champion his first night, right away brings up that title, and in the process gives Bret Hart the respect he deserves as being a champ right away. Because Bret without a title looked very weird. And that's how I would have booked the debut of Bret Hart. This has been the Ringerz podcast. I hope to see you again next week. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe if you're new, and please turn on those post notifications. I plan on keeping this dream of mine a reality, and your support goes a long way.